State. Watch Steph Curry here on this play. He would come down funny on that right ankle. He would leave the game. He did not return after he went back to the locker room. Ooh, one more look. Just tweaked that right ankle.
Now, y'all must be thinking, the Golden State Warriors are doomed because Steph Curry tweaked his ankle during the Bulls game. But see, if we're going to take a look at the bigger picture, this is actually a blessing in disguise for the Warriors, and in this video, I'll be laying out some solid reasons behind this. Now, here's reason number 1. We all know that Steph has been carrying the dubs on his so-called scrawny shoulders all season long, because the other guys, well, they're not doing their end of the bargain. I mean, Draymond was sent to the principal's office and has already missed 12 games because he can't keep his hands away from someone else's grill. Meanwhile, the point god, NBA Finals addict Chris Paul has also missed a bunch of games, 21 to be exact, because the dude can't stay healthy. And then Klay Thompson and Andrew Wiggins have been playing like they're about to retire, averaging just 17.2 points and 12.5 points respectively. I mean, if you're in Steph's shoes and your supporting cast has been acting like this, you definitely have no choice to put up your A game just to keep the dubs afloat and get your squad in position to compete for a championship. But see, even if you're as good and as legendary as Steph Curry, the physical toll of playing at a high level, night in and night out, catches up on you eventually. And I think this is exactly what happened to Steph during their matchup against the Bulls. Now, although things might seem unfortunate for Steph, the temporary time off actually gives Steph a little bit of a breather to rest, as well as recuperate physically and mentally for all the heavy lifting he has done this season, as well as in the previous ones. I mean, in their game against Boston, where they got blown out by 52 points, the fatigue also caught up with him as he struggled big time in that game, scoring just 4 points on a dismal 2 out of 13 shooting from the field. So, you see, even if he's basically a shooting machine, the wear and tear that you get from playing back-to-back games consecutively will eventually catch up to you, no matter how good you are as a player. At this point of the season, I think the rest of the guys can hold down the fort while Steph is gone, and according to reports, the chef is slated to make his comeback as soon as their next matchup against the Lakers, which means that he'll only be sidelined for a couple of games. To me, this is more than enough time for Steph to rest and eventually prepare for the last push heading towards the playoffs. Anyway, as expected, the loss of Curry was heavily felt in their first of 2 matchups against the Spurs, where the Dubs lost 126 to 113. However, when both teams met once again 2 days ago, the Warriors were able to adjust quickly and had their revenge with Wemby playing, as the Dubs defeated them on their home floor, 112 to 102. Now, during that game, the other guys that have been missing in action throughout the entire season stepped up big time, and this leads to my point number 2. The absence of Steph gives other players in the Dubs lineup the opportunity to step up and revitalize their dying careers. And aside from this, the other players that are not playing well all season long were also kind of forced to gather themselves up and shake off the rust in order to grab the W. I mean, in their revenge win against the Spurs, CP3 filled in for Steph in the starting lineup, and surprisingly, the results were pretty good. In 33 minutes of play, it seemed like the point god turned back the hands of time as he tallied 19 points, 9 rebounds, and 8 assists on 9 out of 19 shooting from the field. Meanwhile, Andrew Wiggins also played like his 2021 version by dropping 16 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists on 6 of 8 shooting from the field while sinking 2 triples. And lastly, Steph's other splash brother also stepped up as Klay had 21 points on 40% shooting from 3 in 30 minutes of play. This is a welcoming sight given the Dubs' position in the West standings. As of this video, the Warriors are barely holding on to the 10th spot, and they certainly need every single able body to help out in their championship cause. Despite how great Steph is, he needs every bit of help that he can get from the other guys, as he can't do it alone. And hopefully, his recent injury might just be the ultimate spark plug that would get everyone going. Anyways, aside from the vets stepping up their game, the Dubs' young guns also benefited a lot while Steph is currently sidelined. Well, speaking of which, Jonathan Kuminga's name first comes to my mind when we talk about the young guns, and as we've seen this season thus far, this young gentleman is now ready to take flight. In their last 10 outings, JK has been playing like an all-star, averaging 18.8 points, 5.7 rebounds, 2.8 assists, and in their recent win against Wemby and the Spurs, JK racked up 22 points and 5 rebounds on 50% shooting. Meanwhile, their super rookies Brandon Pajimski and Trace Jackson-Davis are also stepping up their games as of late, and both of them actually played a big role in their hot streak as of late. See, in the last 10 games, Pods has been filling up the stat sheet, averaging 9 points, 6 rebounds, and 4.5 assists on efficient shooting splits, and in their recent matchup against the Spurs, Pods scored 14 points while adding 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, and 1 block on 50% shooting in 35 minutes of play. On the other hand, Trace Jackson-Davis is turning out to be the biggest secret weapon in the Dubs' arsenal. Despite playing on limited minutes and against the Spurs, TJD had another efficient game, racking up a double-double of 13 points and 10 rebounds while Steph is out. As you can see, even though Steph suffered an unfortunate injury, the Dubs' young guns managed to turn the negative into positive with how well they're playing right now. And this is actually scary news for other teams, because the Dubs will definitely be extra potent and lethal, especially when Steph rejoins them on the court. Anyway, there's also another benefit that the Dubs could get while Steph is still recovering from his injury, and it has something to do with developing their chemistry. Now, I'm not taking a victory lap on someone else's tragedy, but this is actually the perfect time for the Dubs to strengthen their chemistry as a unit without Steph, as well as experimenting using different lineups and strategies in preparation for the upcoming playoffs. I mean, they could switch things up by reconfiguring their death lineup or try inserting a 5-man lineup that can sustain their momentum offensively while Steph is sitting down on the bench. Steve Kerr is one of the most innovative coaches in recent memory, contrary to what a lot of fans believe, and I'm pretty sure that he's cooked something up his sleeve when it comes to testing out new lineups and formulating fresh offensive and defensive tactics, which the Dubs could eventually build on moving forward. Anyways, as I mentioned earlier, the good news is that Steph will be back on the hardwood in no time, as several reports indicated that he'll most likely be back in their highly anticipated marquee matchup against LeBron and the Lakers. Sitting at a precarious position in the 10th spot in the West right now, Steph can't afford to sit out more games in the future, because he's basically the only guy that stands in between the Dubs and winning another championship. Now, if for some reason Steph gets injured once again, then you can kiss the chances of the Dubs making a run at the championship goodbye already. Because even if I don't want to sound too pessimistic, I don't see them making a deep run in the playoffs, let alone competing without Steph in their corner. Well, what do you guys think about Steph's current injury situation? Is this the end for the Warriors, or are they going to benefit from it later on when they're making a run in the playoffs? Let me know your answers to this by putting your comments below, and as always, be safe and see you on the next video.